So you've put your home on the market and it's sitting and it's sitting and it's sitting some more. And you're wondering, why the heck is my home not selling? I'm in Somerville, I'm in Cambridge. This doesn't make any sense. In today's video, I'm gonna share the 5 most common reasons that homes sit and do not sell in Cambridge and Somerville, Massachusetts. If you guys don't know me, my name is Jankowitz. I'm a realtor based in Cambridge and Somerville, Massachusetts. I've closed over 300 transactions in the last 3 years. Please take a second to hit the subscribe button. If you guys have questions, there's a free 15-minute Calendly link in the description below. Please share these videos. I put a lot of time and energy into them, and I always appreciate your feedback. So your home isn't selling, it's sitting for a long time, you're getting really frustrated, you don't know what's going on. Why isn't it selling? So I'm gonna go into 5 reasons, but I wanna start off from my perspective why I think homes don't sell from a high level. And there's usually 2 reasons. The first and most obvious one is it's priced too high. And this happens for a lot of reasons. A lot of times sellers think their home is worth more because they have an attachment to the home, or they go on Zillow and they see a Zestimate and they think that that is in any way accurate. Or also a lot of times agents will be somewhat dishonest with clients and overpromise on price only to find out that, it's nowhere close to the price the agent promised you. So price is one piece, but there is another piece, and that's marketing. A lot of times agents aren't doing the right things to position the property properly. Or sometimes the actual seller, due to personal circumstances, due to their own situation, may have trouble positioning the property. So we're gonna go over 5 common solutions, 5 common problems, and hopefully after this video, you guys will be in a better place. So number one of the most common situations that I see is that either the seller or the seller's agent, or sometimes both, sometimes unintentionally, sometimes intentionally misrepresent the home. And what is the most common way that I see this playing out? It's in the bedroom situation, the bedroom count. And what do I mean by this? What I mean is, have you ever seen a property on Zillow and it's a 4-bed, 2-bath condo and it's $800,000, and you're saying, how the heck can I get a 4-bed for $800,000 in the middle of Davis Square? It seems too good to be true. Well, it usually is. And the reason why is because it's not usually a 4-bedroom apartment. It's usually a 2-bedroom condo, or maybe even a 1-bedroom condo with a bunch of weird office spaces, office nooks, kid rooms that are being positioned as bedrooms. And so I think the first thing that you have to do is you have to start with the fact of what your property actually is. If it's a 2-bedroom condo with 2 offices, when you're running an analysis on the value of the property, you need to go in and compare it to other properties that are a similar size and layout. If you start comparing your 2-bedroom plus 2 office condo to another unit that has 4 huge bedrooms, yeah, you're gonna get a vastly different price. You're also gonna get a vastly different response from buyers when they start going through your home. So start off by setting the actual numbers based on accurate data. The second thing that I see often, and this is kind of a tricky one, and I think even me as an agent, it's happened to me, I see other agents, it happened to them and they're surprised. It can happen and it can be hard to figure out. It's the location-specific things that can drive down price. And what I mean by that is you might have a property, it's in the heart of Davis Square, it's a great unit, you see a comparable property that's also 2 blocks over in Davis Square, and you price it at a similar price point and it's just sitting. And the difference is your property could be above a really loud bar, or your property could be right behind train tracks. Well, you have to reduce price and factor in this pretty big negative for a lot of buyers. The way I think of it is, if you're positioning your property for sale, there's a sales funnel of buyers. And if there's certain things that your property has that's going to turn off a lot of buyers, your funnel just got a lot smaller. And so you need to reduce price in order to attract additional buyers. So when thinking about pricing your home, you need to make sure you take a realistic look at potential things very close to your property that could diminish price. And that's a hard thing to do for a lot of both sellers and sellers agents, frankly, sometimes, because it's hard to know how much to diminish price, especially if there isn't comparable data that recently sold. But you must factor this into account. And if your property's sitting and it's next to a gas station, next to a busy place, next to a highway, next to train tracks, there's a good chance that that's one of the reasons that it's sitting. And you have to reduce price to factor in this negative for your property. Next up, this is one that I see all the time, and it sometimes can be challenging to explain it to sellers, but it's definitely a real thing, and it's the funky layout. And we see this a lot in Cambridge and Somerville and a lot of surrounding towns. Maybe at one point there was a single family house, and then it was cut up in all kinds of weird, funky ways, turned into condos, cut up into a Victorian house, cut up into 4 or 5 units. And the unit that you're in could just be really, really funky. You have to go from one bedroom to another bedroom to a third bedroom to get to a bedroom. There's no bathroom on the main living area. There's lots of hallway space. That's a good chunk of the square footage. All of these things make the property less desirable in some way in the eyes of the seller. And that can have an impact on price. So if you have a really funky layout, and you got to be real with yourself, if it's a little bit funky, there's a good chance it could reduce value. So that's another piece that you really have to factor in when you're figuring out how to price your home. Next up, is the property in really poor condition? This is something that I see quite a bit. If the property is in poor condition, you're not going to get the same price as the home 2 blocks over that's in stellar condition. You're just not. And again, we have to go back to that idea of the funnel. If you have a property that's in horrible condition, there's a lot of buyers that won't take on work. In fact, in my experience, anything beyond cosmetic work, the vast majority of buyers either aren't able to or really shouldn't be getting into. So you're really reducing your buyer pool mostly to developers. And I've worked with developers before. They are all about the numbers. And so for them, they need to have enough cushion for the numbers to make sense. There's other things at play here too. If you're buying a 2-family, say, as a developer in Somerville, there's a lot of condo conversion requirements that they need to follow. So for example, if it's a 2-family and the property is currently rented out, a lot of developers don't want to purchase it because it can complicate the conversion process with a lot of delays. So with that in mind, you have to understand that a property that's in really, really poor condition, we're not talking cosmetic here, we're talking like a total gut reno or needs some major work, you're gonna have to reduce price to make it attractive enough for a developer most likely. So this can be challenging, it can be a tough pill to swallow. And from my perspective, the big takeaway, if I'm someone who's a homeowner, is take care of your property. Don't let it fall into disrepair because you're taking an asset and you're losing hundreds of thousands of dollars by not just simply maintaining it for a much smaller amount year after year. Now, in terms of a solution here, there's a little bit more that I want to just add on. In addition to being able to just kind of reduce price, sometimes it depends on the level of work because it is, there's a bit of a range there, but sometimes it does make sense to fix things up. If you have carpet throughout the whole place, it may make sense to put some hardwood floors there. If you have an old kitchen and you could just put a fresh coat of paint in there, that could make a huge difference in terms of how it's positioned. If the property is big and empty, sometimes it really makes sense to stage the property. So it really is a case-by-case situation, but a lot of times, especially if it's fallen into total disrepair, you're gonna have to take that hit if you're not willing to make some updates. The last thing, poorly marketed, and this can happen quite a bit. And there can be a lot of different reasons for things being poorly marketed. A lot of people assume that it's always the agent, and it can be. I've seen a lot of times where an agent will take their own photo with their iPhone, or they'll hire really sort of a rinky-dink photographer, and it can make a huge difference in terms of exposure. I also see times where agents don't host open houses. That can affect the ability to get exposure through buyers getting into the property. So you have to make sure that you're really working with a competent agent, first of all, who's gonna make sure they're doing everything they can to market the property. What are they doing in terms of social media, sponsored posts? What are they doing in terms of magazine coverage? What are they doing in terms of photo, in terms of video, in terms of reaching out to their network? They should be having a multi-pronged approach. A lot of agents, unfortunately, will put a property on MLS and set it and forget it. You don't really wanna work with an agent like that. You want an agent who's gonna hustle and truly represent you to do everything possible to get the property sold for the best price. Now, on the flip side of this, sometimes the truth is it's not an agent's fault. There can be extenuating circumstances. Common examples are maybe the seller's going through a lot in their life and they're not able to accommodate certain requests that ultimately would help sell the property. Sometimes there's an inheritance situation and there's multiple siblings and they have different ideas about what they think should be done. I don't want to throw all agents under the bus because I know how it goes. There's a lot of complicated factors that happen, but understand that if you're selling your property, you really need to make sure you're working with your agent to do everything you can and really lean on them. And as an agent, you want to make sure that you're seeing an agent who's really hustling to do everything they can to get people in whenever they can and working with you to position the property in the best possible but transparent light. Anyways, I hope this video was helpful for you guys. If you have any questions about other issues you might be experiencing or thinking of selling, hit me up on my Calendly. It's a free 15-minute conversation, and I'll see you guys next time.